introduce Alexandria Joyce for Joyce. And this is Alex. She's adorable, right?
Yeah.
So some of you may have saw a post that we were sharing about Alexandria's Toys for Joys, and you may have saw the invite to bring a toy if you could or whatnot. So Alex is a cancer survivor.
Oh, wait.
So, Alex, would you like to tell them when you remember when you first diagnosed, and what type of cancer you have? And speak up.
I was first diagnosed with cancer when I was 6 years old, and I had RWR sarcoma, which was a tumor in my neck.
Oh, okay.
And how long have you been in remission?
I have been in remission for almost 3 years now.
Oh, that's
So please, like the Alexandria Toys for Joys, you'll see that I'll share to make sure you guys can get the link to like the page. So we're very excited to be the official sponsor for Alexandria Toys for Joys. So we will be donating toys to Phoenix Children's Hospital, not just for Christmas, but all year round.
Awesome.
But that's where Alex spends a lot of her time at. And tell them what trip you won. Do you remember all about that?
I got a Make-A-Wish trip to Disney World.
So thank you guys that brought toys today and that advise that you be donating toys. We'll be accepting them all year round.
Okay.
And make sure that will be one of our community events as far as membership, where we'll take the toys up to the Phoenix Children's Hospital. So want to reach out, give toys, let other people know, please do. So thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
And then our toy bucket is right there. So thank you so much. So we are going to go ahead and just jump in and get started. I brought my sunglasses because, I want to avoid all the shade that may be going on. Anybody got any? Feel free to put them on. No shade in here.
Right. No shade.
This is like the circle with the exit and no shade.
Yeah.
Mom, you want to come in? You want to pull your chair? You can. We real impromptu right now. So the reason that, because that's the thing, that's the slang word or whatever. I guess slang may not be what you say. That's showing my age maybe, but I know that they say no shade. So the reason that I wanted to specifically talk on that topic is because you still hear it, even though I think it's better, you hear about a lot of women doing encouragement things on Facebook, social media, since that's our big avenue. But, so you would think, well, it shouldn't still exist or whatever, but I do get a lot of emails and inboxes. That's why I asked you guys if you had a topic that you want to talk about, because I do get inboxes from people and they'll say, can you talk about this, or don't say it was from me, or things like that. So like our RWR letters that you'll see me posting up that you guys can actually also comment on. But I wanted to definitely talk about no shade, but on the other end talk about what can we do to prevent it. Even though we know it's there, we have to be proactive to what's the solution, not just talk about it's out there and it's shade and it's all of this. What are the solutions that we can all talk about? So I think what was important for me, I thought, was like, well, maybe we could each share just a short little story maybe and see, or because sometimes we think, is this shade or is it real, or maybe it's not shade, maybe I just don't agree with you, maybe I just don't like what you do, so it doesn't have to be shade. People like to say that a lot. Oh, they just hate. No, I just don't like that. So I thought maybe we could, if we all had maybe a story or a short story or something that you just wanted to see, was it really real? And I use Real Women Reveal the words real because I love authentic. That's just me. I remember I told a story in working in corporate America. I would see different people being fake, you know, or whatever, or what they needed to do. And I was like, I just can't do it, but maybe I should try and do it, you know. Because so I was like, okay, maybe I need to, because people would say, Audrey's kind of standoffish because she doesn't tell us about her relationship. She doesn't, you know, I didn't give them all my business. I just came to work, talked about work stuff, but then I was labeled standoffish. So I was like, well, maybe I need to be, you know, okay, this is what's going on, and try to be fake and phony. And I did actually, I promise you, I did try it, but it didn't last long. I just could not do it. I could not do it. I was just like, I can't act this way just because. I mean, I'm not acting mean or ornery or, you know, trying to belittle somebody. I just can't go over to the other lane of being fake. So I'm going to share a story really quickly to get through it. And then you guys can kind of give some feedback and we'll go around that way. But my story is, I was hosting an event. And, of course, I posted it on Facebook, social media avenues. And maybe a couple days after I had posted it, someone inboxed me and they asked, well, can you change your date of your event because somebody else's event is going on that day? And I was like, oh, you know, sorry, you know, that's just the way Phoenix goes now. So many events, as I have about 5 more events to go to today, right? And I was like, no, I can't. I've already checked in with the venue and things like that, so I can't do it. I was like, yeah, I posted my flyer a couple days ago, and I actually did see that other person post their flyer. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, sorry about that. So I went to another event, kind of big forum event where a lot of women was at. And this person got up to start talking, and they was like, yeah, people around on social media talking about people posted their flyer before my event, and I don't know why women do that, and I do my events before anybody. And I said, wow, this story sounds really familiar. It wasn't the person that I had told that was not the person that was up talking. It was the other person that apparently they took this information, you know, third-party information. And I'm just sitting like, that's not what I said. I just said I couldn't cancel, you know, or change my event. But now this person is saying, oh, people want to talk about people posted their flyers before, and I did this before. And I was like, that is just so untrue. So I was just like, that's the problem with like third-party information and listening to what somebody else said. If it really may have hurt you in that way, then maybe you should have asked me about it. But I think because they knew I was at the event, they wanted to directly throw that at me without actually saying, Audrey, I'm talking to you. But I knew, you know, they were. And I was just like, you just got to let that go. Once upon a time, I probably would have said something. Or if I felt that that person, and being very honest, had a really intricate part in my life, or we were BFFs or buddies or did stuff, I probably would have said something. Otherwise, I just let it go. Just let it go. It's like, if that's what you want to think, you can think that, but that's not how it really happened. And I'm okay with letting it go because I know. So I don't know if I should have let it go, or maybe I should have initially said something, or what. Does anybody want to kind of chime in on that, or their thoughts?
I think that I would have said something at the meeting. Sound like she did in front of a group of people. And how did the group of people take it? If they didn't say anything, I would not have addressed it. However, after it was over with, I would say, hey, look, you know, I'm sorry this happened. I didn't mean to do this, but this is what happened. And explain to her just how it went down. But no, sometimes when you get into a big environment with a lot of ladies, then if you say something to it, then it's going to go back and forth and back and forth. And it takes up the whole meeting, you know, because the two of you bickering about something and it's not really that important. I read something on Facebook the other day, and what it said was so pronounced that I think that it's something everybody should think about. It's that, I'm trying to think how it went, but what it was saying in so many words is, what you think about me it's not important. It's about what I think about me.
True. Yes.
And when you start getting in that type of mindset, then it's important, because I know all of us been through something that, you know, people hurt our feelings, and you want to go up there and say something, and especially if it was a lie, and it make you feel so bad because somebody is telling
integrity or
right. So, but we have to get to the point where inside of us we know this is not what we're really about, and so whatever they think about us, no matter how we want to go over there and maybe punch them for lying on us, you just kind of when you let it stay low, then it can stay low.
Now I wanted to touch on something real quick, just in case. Oh, and here's our fan. If you have a question and I don't see you, you get the fan. Let me touch on something real quick, and I'll come right back. You said we should not worry, or I want to make sure I'm saying it right, worry about what others say or care about what others say about us. Should we worry? I mean, not worry. Should we care about what other people think of us?
I think we should.
Go ahead.
Especially if it's because I had a situation where someone was upset with me, but rather than coming and talking to me, they let it fester on and on and on. I knew nothing about it till it got to a point where they did something hurtful to me. And then when I addressed it, that's when it came up. And I said, why didn't you come and talk to me about it then? We could have settled it then, but by you festering that angry for a week or two, it got beyond you. You know, so I don't think we should I do care about what people say.
Go ahead, Jet, and then
well, actually, my take is a little bit different, and maybe it's kind of like it's the teacher in me. I'm always about counseling and teaching and stuff, but you know, I definitely would never do confrontation in public, like you know, in a group of people. But you know, even if I thought that was I knew she was pretty much talking to me, I look at it as an opportunity to talk to her. And you may not know me very well. Maybe our relationship isn't like this, and it's not that important. But just in the future, just so that you aren't frustrated, and you have to display frustration to everyone else. A great thing to do would just be to come to me.
Because I think I missed the opportunity, and I don't know if I should go back, because I think I missed the opportunity, and I kind of say, you know what, I missed the opportunity by just saying let it go. That's my personality a lot, and that's something that I work on to change. I will just let a lot of things go sometime instead of talking about it. So I think I missed my opportunity. Now I don't know if I should go back to that opportunity.
How long ago was that?
I wanted to say that
not a year. It wasn't a year
ago. Two things that I was addressing. One thing was how you react, and then the other thing was contrary. It had nothing to do with the situation. It was just in general. When I said that, what you think of yourself is what's important as opposed to what other people think.
Right, I know.
But it had nothing to do with your. Okay.
No, I kind of got that too. I think Danielle.
You wasn't it? You're next.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. No, what I just want to say briefly is some things to me are not even worth entertaining. Okay, I just want to say that. And then some things we do need to address. But us as women, and I've learned this over the years, like if I offended you or did something to you, I've learned that I need to come directly to you instead of me going to someone else. And I need to be that bigger person, and I need to take care of that. Now, the way that she handled that publicly like that, she should have just went to you one-on-one. Okay. If she had an issue or a concern, I'm not sure what
because I didn't catch it. I didn't catch that dagger till I was right there.
and I'm pretty sure it was a shock to you. Like, really, this is being talked about. So that's just what I'm learning. Just to go to that person, straighten it out. I don't need to go to a third party. You got all these conversations going on. Just do it the right way. Clean your slate and move forward. You know what I mean? So that's just the way I said. But I definitely agree with all you other ladies.
Yeah.
What you said.
Thank you. Sure. Yeah. Good, Danielle. Go ahead.
I think there's a thin line between choosing your battles and probably if you had said something the feeling that you had may have come out in your voice too, because even though you were, we have to learn how to control ourselves, you know, and then there is a thin line between should I say something or should I let it go? And really no one else can tell you that. You have to follow the voices that are inside yourself, which is really a spirit. And you have to listen. And it might be good to sometimes, but we never know when that time is. We can't say that one solution fits all situations. So we have to know when to, I don't even want to say we have to know. Throughout our life, we are faced with times and situations when we have to decide, should I or should not?
Always a battle.
And then someone else might tell you, well, you should have handled it this way. And you don't know how they've handled everything or if it was appropriate for that decision. So it's kind of hard to give people a 1, 2, 3, do this, do this, do this, you know. It might be after this period, because I remember when that happened, okay? And you, to carry stuff, it's like you know stuff, but there's some things you have
that intuition.
Some things you are going to keep, and some things you are going to say, well, I feel this way. And maybe when you take time to not confront it immediately, it gives you an opportunity to calm down, not rehearse what you're going to say, but to think and reflect on how you would want someone to approach you.
That's a good point. Go ahead.
Along those same lines, using the spirit of discernment.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, you don't, if it's someone that you really don't know, you have no idea what their level of emotional intelligence is. So if you were to address them at whatever point, they may not be there to come back at you with the same love that you put out. For me, I'd say it's never too late. It's never too late, because if it was a feeling then, it could come back up again.
Exactly.
And it's not just about, like you were saying, you know, you have to be more concerned about how you feel about yourself, but then do be concerned about what other people think about you, because those relationships can be tainted, and not just with you and that person, but other individuals, because people do talk.
Good point.
And we're all in the same community, and especially in Arizona, you know, we're a small community.
It's small.
So we all touch each other.
Right, exactly.
I'm looking around the room now and I'm like, okay, I'm familiar with some of you ladies, but I've never actually met you
personally.
So
got a chance,
there's all these connections that are there. So I think it is really important to address it at some point. Maybe not in front of that crowd.
Right.
The egos get boosted.
I don't like doing the crowd.
That
I don't like working
individual
for the crowd.
The opportunity will come back up again. If it's meant for it to happen, the opportunity will come back up, and you'll say, hey, now that since we're talking.
Right.
You know,
right.
But I agree with the discernment piece as well. I mean, you can't just approach everybody. You got to know when that wall is up too. You got to be able to feel that.
Right. Your gut instincts. And I've learned to, sometimes you think about something, sometimes it's scary, and sometimes, you know, I know we all have it. Sometimes you think about something and then it happens. It's like, that was even eerie for me. That was kind of eerie for me. One other piece. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, for me, I'm always trying to be solution oriented. So when I am able to identify a problem, I immediately go into, okay, so how can we resolve this, even just if not now, in the future, for the long run for all of us. So a situation like that, when it becomes conflict of events, because like I said, there aren't that many of us. Everybody try to do something. Let's work together. And it takes me back to a time at ASU, Arizona State. I was the president of the Black and African Coalition, and that was the organization that was basically all the black organizations on campus came together. So if the alphas are having a party, the omegas are not going to do it on the same night. We're going to come together and come up with one calendar. Right. So with organizations like Black Wall Street or any other organizations that are out there, it's about coming together so we can keep those relationships bonded instead of everybody spreading out, thinning out the love. We can bring it together somehow.
Right, and that's true. And I always want to, make sure I either send somebody a message if they have an event, good luck on your event or whatever. There's so many events that not everybody may get Real Women Reveal, or it may be okay, but it's another event that so it's the opportunity to have options.
Right.
We have options. So options that to have in Phoenix is a good thing.
Yes.
To have options at least, you know. So if this was the only women's type of organization, that may not work either. I mean, I may think it would if that was my mindset, but that wouldn't necessarily work if this was the only organization this type in the area. That wouldn't work for everybody, because everybody in Phoenix may not have the same passion or thought process as me. So another type of shade I want to talk about, and I think this is really real because we have to deal with this, especially if we're in corporate America, and I mentioned it a little bit before. What was maybe one of your worst or bad or memorable experience in the corporate America workplace setting, and how did you handle that? Because I know that's a couple questions that I got on the inbox about working in the workplace, and it was a woman manager or hierarchy that was over them, that they had the issue with. And it's like, well, I don't really want to go in confrontation with this woman, but it just seems like she's on me more than some of the men. And that's what they said. That's what they said in the message. So has anybody had that situation in the work where they had to resolve it, or what was the best? I know we talked about it a long time ago on one of the tapings. If you go to YouTube, you'll see it. Why are women so mean to each other? I think it was on that one about we were talking about then. And sometimes you change, because I look back at them a few years ago and I was like, well, I don't really think like that. My perception or mindset has changed a little bit. But on there we were talking about what you prefer as a woman for your manager, director, or whatever, your boss, to be a woman or a man. And I think at that time I said I would love for it to be a woman, because I want to follow behind a woman. I want a woman to show me the ropes or whatever. However, at that time, I had mentioned that it had not worked out so well from the previous women managers or directors that I had. It seemed to work out better with the men. I didn't necessarily want it that way, because for me, I always want to follow another woman, you know, the lead, to pull me up, as they say, reach one, teach one, or if you make it, pull another woman up. So, but it was, I wanted that, but it just hadn't worked out really that way. I found more better, you know, mentorship, friendships, and just being, you know, I guess maybe a level playing field, or if they were a director at another company and I didn't work there. It just didn't seem to mesh for some of the experiences I had. I'm not saying that's how it worked, just some of my personal experiences. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay,
you got it.
That's what my card.
Oh, that was on.
That's on one side of it.
Okay. Oh, you got a lot of notes.
Like I said, I'm here. Just a little background. I'm a teacher as well. I'm also a doctoral student, and I'll be at Columbia University next year. So I won't be in Phoenix, but I'm from here. I'm a native.
Okay, you love to be
one of the
there.
unicorns out there, right? So this type of environment, my research is all on Black women in leadership, and how we develop our identity. But the other part of that, there was a study done on what's called intrasectionality, and it's looking at how she studied Black women in leadership. She looked at mayors of some of the major cities around the U.S., Black women mayors.
Okay.
And she asked them about their path. Is there a actual a recipe, if you will, to come to a point where you are following a path that will get you to that same position? Is there some sort of career path, commonality about their traits and who they were? Well, one thing that came out of it is that all the women ended up saying, in one way or another, that the person who supported them the most in their journey was a white man. The person who supported them the least was a Black woman.
Yes.
Wow.
And that, as you said, there was a lot of shade. And so I thought, wow, where do we come to this point? And so I started looking up something called the token mentality. At least that's what I've called it. But that token mentality, to where we've been brought up so much to think that there's only room for one of us.
One pie in the
There's
sky.
that glass ceiling. So if someone's going to make it, it's only going to be one of us. That token person who can make it. And it's almost as if it seems that if one person makes it, instead of reaching back to pull other people up, they're thinking, I gotta keep this one position for myself, so I can't let anybody else get in. There's gonna be too many of us, kind of thing. So I think that may have something to do with it, and that's kind of where my research is going to see.
And let me piggyback, because it made me think of this probably had to be at least 3 years ago. I knew somebody was working in a certain type of field, and I said, hey, I knew they were kind of having not financial issues, but anytime running a business, as we all know, it's finances that go into it. So I was like, okay, this is a friend of mine. How can I assist, financially to make it better? A win-win. So I was like, hey, why don't Real Women Reveal partner with you in some kind of way? Maybe we can do something once a month or however you need to do it. And then I can pick up some of those expenses when I do my part quarterly or monthly, to assist you. And they were like, okay, yeah, let's have lunch and talk about it. So we got to lunch, and we canceled so many appointments. So I was like, come on, let's do this, So we got to lunch, and I was like, yeah, how can we do this? And we can do a segment, and I can always tailor it around. So I'm just saying, say you worked at ASU. If I came to partner with ASU, maybe I would always target Real Women Reveal around education or whatever. I can always target it, with whatever your business. So I said, I can always do that. So they told me, they said, you know what? I thought about it. Real Women Reveal just isn't for me. It's a little too racy. It's kind of, it's edgy. And I was like, really? You've been to many of my events, or supported in a way. Was it edgy? And so then I just said, okay, okay, if that's how, no problem. I'm not going to make you, but I just disagree. So later, they partnered and had some events with some people, and they were talking about, one of the topics was like STDs and gay, and I was like, wow, that's edgy. That's edgier than whatever I've done. I've never talked about STDs. That's a forum that we can talk about. But at that time, I had not went to STDs or what do we think about gay relationships and things like that. And I was just like, wow, they just told me my stuff was edgy and kind of wrong. I was just like, okay, but what I really thought about, and wasn't trying to pat myself on the back or none of that. Anybody know me, that's not me. I just thought, well, maybe they thought if I do that, RWR may get a little more attention than what they would like it to get at that time. And I just said, okay, I'll have to accept that. But I thought I was just like, wow, I thought this would be the perfect thing. I'm coming as a friend to even dig in my pocket to say what I could do. But I was just like, edgy? I don't think so. You've been a little bit more edgier than me. Go ahead, Katie.
And I was going to ask you, did you ask her what she meant? And the reason I say that is because a lot of times when people pose a question to me, I think I might know. So to get a better understanding, since you say that, explain to me, what do you mean?
Right. I did ask, and I did say edgy, where I said, well, we may slip up with a couple 4-letter words. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. I said, but I would always tailor it to what your needs are. Just like I gave the example. If I'm working with somebody in a shoe store, then I'm going to tailor it towards women buying shoes. I'm going to tailor it to you. I'm not going to go off on my own tangent or my own soapbox. She answered just to say she just thought her audience wouldn't be receptive to what RWR does.
Well, that has to be a
workshops and dedicated spark critic. So I guess it wasn't
inspiring.
I don't know. So I just had to take it. It wasn't receptive to. So I was just like, wow. And that's why I say after I saw the type of events they partnered with, I said, well, wow, that's more edgier than I have ever yet to do, especially 3 years or so ago. And I was just like, I just got to take it for what it is. I try to ask, like you said, I did try to ask, and they just said it wouldn't work for their audience. They just said they don't think
she didn't have a real answer.
So
I can't answer for other people either. You were saying that her audience she said that her audience would be receptive of
would not be receptive.
You can't answer for other people. Let them sit in, and you know what I mean? And
Well,
hear
if
it
a person
yourself.
going to be that, that's not being transparent. But if they're going to be that way, all you could do was keep it moving, okay? Because you never know, even though someone is sitting in the circle with you, what their thoughts are or how they are perceiving what's going on.
And that goes back to Renisha's point to say, we just think that it's just only one pie in the sky and that I got to get this piece, and if I don't get this pie, somebody else is going to get it before me. And sometimes this is how I think. And I could be wrong. This is just my thought process. I'm not saying it's wrong, right, or whatever. My thought process sometimes is let's just say, for instance, RWR was maybe the flavor of the month or whatever that month. Well, maybe it's the flavor of the month, but it's to still help you get there. Sometimes we have to use, for me, what is the flavor of the month? And I'm just saying, okay, so if you got something flavor of the month, I was like, well, I was trying to get this out, but we partners and we really riding on whatever on this shirt, so we're going to ride on this shirt because it will eventually come back to RWR or however the win-win. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes something is the flavor of the month, for lack of a better term, than something else. And we just have to, I think, know how to say, okay. And I've seen other nationalities seem like they do that. Their goal is the goal.
Yep.
Their goal is the goal. How we get to this goal? We got to go through this to get to the goal. But I'm still part of that goal. I'm still going to eat bread off of that, or however you want to say it. I think sometimes we forget that, and I think that may have been part of it. That maybe it was a little different back then. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but like I said, it was just said that she didn't think that her audience would be receptive to it, and like you said, I just had to.
Well, you know what? Since we've been in this country, maybe in the last 50 years, or maybe even more than that, this thing of being the first or the only has really been drummed in our heads too. You know, we might not think about it, but I can remember how many times I'm reading and you'll see the first African American, the only, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, and the only, and you know what's happening in the movie industry where you get one and you don't get anybody else, okay, that kind of thing. And that's in us. It's in us. I'm not saying that's the way we want it to be, but we hear it.
We promote it too.
We hear it. We
promote it as well.
We sit,
and it's a sense of pride to a certain degree.
To say I'm the only, you know, you just hear it a lot, you know, and our children hear it too, you know, and that's so it can become a part of your mindset to think that way.
And the thing that I think we miss out on all the time is if you're at a certain level and you feel like you've achieved a certain status or whatever, it only behooves you and helps you to grow by helping other people to grow. And, you know, a lot of people think, oh, I'm the boss and I want to be the one to shine. We did this project and I'm going to be the one that looks good and all my workers are out there working and stuff like that. But they don't understand that they make you look good. You know, and if we can shift that mindset to understand that anytime I'm pouring into somebody else, that's, you know, everybody doesn't have to see it. You know, they don't have to see all the things that I do behind the scenes or behind, you know, whatever the case is, but it always comes back on you. And we always seem to miss that, you know, because it's always about, I gotta shine sometimes.